He says the first thing that you should do in the morning is maintain silence. And what we do first thing in the morning, we get up from the bed, we pick up our mobile and look at our WhatsApp message. So he says, instead of doing anything like that, the first and the most important thing that an individual to build up a personality, which is calm and cool personality, and very much essential for an entrepreneur, is please sit for 2 minutes in silence. Get up from the bed, sit in silence. Affirmation. He said, once you have sat in silence for a minute or two, please say something positive to yourself. I mean, give your mind a positive thought. So it could be that you can say, hey, my venture is going to be a successful venture. Hey, today is going to be a very powerful day in my path of creating a positive venture. Today is going to be a day who's going to contribute of my dream. I am going to build a personality which is going to be magnificent. I'm going to build a personality which is required for an entrepreneur. Given a positive thought in your mind for a minute, you speak to yourself, you can speak loud, speak silently. Now, once you have spoken that, you need to visualize. Now, if this affirmation is an audio for you, this visualization should be a video for you. Close your eyes and think your venture is all in place. You are doing the opening ceremony. People are clapping. Your parents are so proud of you. So close your eyes, feel that aura, feel that scenario, and that will give you positivity, that will give you positive energy. So silence has calmed your mind, affirmation has given you positive thought, visualization has given you a positive dream. After that, please energize yourself. Because after all this, if you go back and sleep, then nothing works. So after all this, go and exercise. Now, I'm not saying do exercise for 1 hour, 2 hours every day. It could be 10-15 minutes of meditation. It could be 10-15 minutes of yoga, any jogging, etc., walking, etc., to energize yourself. Once you have done that, and all this has to be done in sequence and in the morning. Once you have done that, do some reading. Now, what does reading do? You can do 2-3 pages of reading, and please don't pick up the newspaper and read, because I believe that newspaper these days is full of, I mean, not even in the COVID days, but in general also, you look at the newspaper is full of many negative news. So I want you to read some good, positive, motivational book, some good book which can give you positive energy. Read 2-3 pages of that book and it gives you positive seed here. And I'm sure all of us know that watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your behavior. Watch your behavior because they become your habits. Watch your habits because that becomes your destiny. So your destiny gets governed by these processes, and by reading something positive, you are generating positive thought process, and a positive seed sown here will give birth to a positive destiny. That is why it is requiring. So write in a page, or you can write some positive thought. Anything comes to your mind. It doesn't need to be a theme bound. You can write that. So these are 6 savers habit which you must follow to build a calm personality. Having said that, this was the end of first part, which say how do you build your personality? I mean, how do you analyze your current personality? Now we will look at now what is the personality trait which is required in order to be a great entrepreneur and in order to be the owner of a venture which is going to be successful. So I have made it very short and crisp. This is ABC of an entrepreneur. The first thing that must be there in an entrepreneur to be a successful entrepreneur is his attitude. Attitude plays a major role in building a personality. We all know that attitude can either be positive or negative. Now let me take you through a different perspective of attitude. Now let's look at these potatoes. Bhook lagi hai? I'm sure some majority of you had your breakfast. Okay. Now, if I look at these potatoes, they are raw potatoes. They are not boiled potato. Okay. So if I look at these potatoes and I tell you, I'm going to take you into visualization. You know, these are the potatoes. Consider them that one of the potatoes out of them is your worst enemy. Look at them. Now see which one seems to be the worst enemy to you. So I'm sure you picked up one potato. Now, once you've picked up this potato, now today God is in good mood and he wants to grant you a wish. He wants to grant you a wish, which is generally considered to be a bad thing to do. But he says, today you have got all opportunity to murder this enemy. I mean, you've got all opportunity to stab through this enemy and you won't be punished for that. He gives me weapons. Which weapon can't stab through this worst enemy? आर पार नहीं होगा. कौन सा ऐसा weapon है जो आर पार नहीं होगा? So think of that. Take 2 seconds and think which is that enemy जो आर पार नहीं हो सकता. Can you respond in the chat box, please? Which is the weapon which is worst, useless, can't stab through? Okay, so majority of people
So you can unmute. We have enabled the setting. You can unmute yourself and ask the question directly from now.
yes. Is he there?
Ma'am, we can take up the question towards the end of the session.
Later. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So probably the majority of the people, they think that, you know, straw is the most useless instrument and it can't stab through. That's very common also, you know, we generally think of. But probably let's look at okay, I'm trying to play a video. Just hold on, please. Just a minute. Give me time. I'll play a video here.
Sure.
Is it audible? Is it visible? Can you see the video?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Not yet? Okay, wait.
We can see the PPT now.
Yeah. I'm putting it. Some issues were there. I'm putting it now. Is it visible now? Now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Yeah. So now let's look how this straw cannot be useless. Did you notice anything? No? See. Yes? Can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay.
Yes,
so you see, majority of us, we say that, you know, and we feel that this straw is the useless of the weapon, but is not useless, is very easy to carry. No one will stop you. It's not so pointed. No one will think that, you know, you are going for killing a person. It's very easy to carry and has got a lot of power. Now, what I'm trying to say over here is that many times we as an individual underestimate things. We underestimate the means and the potential that we have. As an entrepreneur who really want to be successful, your attitude should be such that you do not underestimate even the smallest mean and the resources that comes on your way. Even the smallest opportunity, even the smallest achievement should not be ignored by you, and you should have an attitude that anything that comes is coming because it's going to support me. So do not underestimate anything. Do not be obsessed of negativity. Do not be obsessed of the failures and say, oh, I am not going to move forward. Please stay positive. Consider that after every dark line, there's going to be a shining line ahead. So carry that positive attitude with you. Consider every mean and potential that's available and utilize that. That's the A aspect, or the positive attitude that an entrepreneur should hold on, or an entrepreneurial leader should hold on. Now with B, I said I'm talking about ABC of having a strong aura of an entrepreneur, or how to build an aura which is a great aura. The B stands for behavioral aspect. Now, what are the behavioral aspects that are required or that are considered to be good behavioral aspect for an entrepreneur? In order to have a successful venture or a successful startup, you don't only need to be an entrepreneur, you need to be a leader who is running an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurial leadership need to be developed in you, so as you are able to not only start a venture, you are not giving a thought to a venture, but you're able to lead that venture in such a way that it becomes a successful venture. So what are those aspects, the leadership qualities that one must have to build entrepreneurial leadership? So I will look at various leadership characteristics which are there and which one are required to be a successful entrepreneur. I'm sure we all know that there are two kinds of leaders, transactional leaders and transformational leaders. So transactional leaders are those who lead from the back. They will pass on the instruction, they will pass on the concerns, they will pass on the work, but they will not lead from front. And this type of leadership style is not at all useful to be a strong entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur needs to lead from front. And you should have a personality which is able to influence others. And the other leadership, that's called transformational leadership, this is what is required. You need to be a transformational leader. A transformational leader, you can see here, is the one who leads from front. A good leader, follower. So first you need to follow certain things. You need to show to the world that these are the things that are required, and let the others consider you as an idol and think that, oh, he himself or she herself is following that, we should also follow. So set an example, be a transformational leader, lead from front. Don't think that, I am making arrangements for all investments, etc. Now let the people who are associated with me, let them work. I will sit and only instruct. That kind of leadership will not work if you really want to have a successful lead from front. Now, when transformational leader, this transformational leadership characterizes which define her leadership quality, and we must try, in case we don't have those quality, we must try to inculcate those quality and reflect those quality in our leadership as an entrepreneur. So the 4 I's of a transformational leader, this is idealized influence. The first I is idealized influence. Idealized influence means you have to be an idol for them. Who is an idol? Whom people would like to follow. So you have to set an example. If you say that there is a particular meeting happening, we are going to discuss our business plan, etc., etc. at that time, and majority of the time you yourself are late, that means you're not an idealized influencer. Then you're not setting example. People will say, hey, our own leader is not coming on time, why should we come on time? But if you are an idealized influencer, if you are someone who would like to convince people by showing and reflecting the same quality, the same to follow, then you become idle. Hey, we should go on time. Our entrepreneur, our leader always comes on time. Learn something from our leader. We should be like our leader. Then you become an idolized influencer. So because a startup will have only limited set of people, and if you want to influence them, you can't influence them by power. You can't be a coercive influencer influencing them by fear. You can influence them by setting an example in front of them. You yourself following what you want others to follow. The second I of being a transformational leader stands for intellectual stimulation. Very important. An entrepreneur leader has to be very, very creative, out of box thinker. And you should also stimulate and influence people associated with you to think of out of box ways. So you are stimulating their intellect. You are always stimulating their mind that please don't go for routine options. Always think of very different, out of the way, out of box thinking. Apply out of box thinking. Think of the ways and options which people have not done before, and their intellect is always stimulated by your idealized influence. They are always in the mode to think out of box, and you yourself also are of the same time. You have to reflect it in your own personality. You also can't tell that, hey, my option is this, and you tell them a very traditional option and you expect them to give very out of the way option. You yourself also have to be a creative thinker, an intellect out of box thinker, and that is how you influence them to stimulate their brain and think out of box. The third I is individualized consideration. Now, as I said, the startup or a venture generally are not having huge number of people. It may have two partners, it may be a group of 3 people, 4 people, 10 people, but it's not a huge strength when you start up a venture. Now, if you have limited number of people, and generally these limited number of people take care of specific areas depending on their expertise. That's how you partner with people, that oh, this partner can be fruitful in this area, this partner can be of use in this area. Now if you have limited team, jitni choti family hoti hai utni close knitted honi chahiye. If it's a big family, no one bothers, that's okay. हमारे relations खराब भी हो गए तो no one will bother. But if it's a small family of limited number of people, and if there is no individualized attention, if you are not giving individual consideration, you are not checking up regularly how that particular individual is, people feel that you don't value them. So a leader who is an entrepreneurial leader need to give individual consideration and attention to everyone who is involved in their venture. And that is how you influence them to think out of box. And I must give individual attention. Now, why it is needed and what profit you get out of it. Tomorrow, when this person is overcoming the concern that he is going to be super loyal and super truthful and super honest and super trustworthy, and will also give his 100% dedication to you because you have helped him, you have understood him when he needed that. So that is why it's a small knitted family for a startup or a venture. Every individual should be given specific and individualized attention. And the last is inspirational motivation. You have to be a self-motivated person. You can't say, you come back from a meeting which was not a good meeting and you sit and you say, I don't know, I think nothing will happen. And the rest of the people who are associated with you, who are assisting you in setting up this venture, will definitely feel demotivated and will not be inspired. So you as a transformational leader have to be self-motivated all the time, and you have to inspire people through that energy that is coming out of your self-motivation. So an entrepreneur leader need to be a transformational leader. The second thing, I'm sure we have heard of this theory which is given by McClelland, and he said that leader derive their power. Leaders derive their motivation through three factors. Could be through achievement, could be through power, could be through affiliation. Through power means, when they have something which is very what they get is they get lot of relationship building. People bond with them, people love them, there's a lot of relationship building happening, and they get motivation through their followers and their believers. But an entrepreneur leader need to get his motivation through achievement. So build a personality wherein achievement becomes your major source of motivation. You should think that every small step that I'm going to take and every small result that I get out of it is generating more and more motivation into me. Every achievement should be treated as a step of motivation, and do not look at whether you are getting power out of a certain action, whether there are many people getting connected to you or not. But if you are putting in effort into a task and you're able to get even the slightest success in that, please consider it as an achievement and get motivated through that. Because if you are motivated, then only the rest of the people will be motivated. That is what we talk about, the inspirational motivation in transformational leadership. So entrepreneur leaders are people who derive their motivation through achievement. They want achievement in their hand, and that is why they keep on moving forward even if they face so many challenges and failures on their way. And the last that the entrepreneur leader should have is creativity. Very, very much. The ABC: A stood for attitude, positive attitude; B stood for certain behavioral qualities or the leadership that we spoke about, transformational leadership, achievement, motivation leadership; and the third and the last, that C that I'm talking about, is creativity, which is also based on the principle of effectuation. Now, effectuation says that whatever means are available with you, please start with that mean. On the way, you can change your processes in your step based on whatever extra means you generate or whatever comes on your way. But in the beginning, do not sit and regret that, oh my God, I don't have sufficient mean. Let me first arrange for more means and then begin. No, begin with whatever means you have. Now, this effectuation creativity is based on certain principles. I'm sure we have heard of divergent thinking and convergent thinking. So this effectuation is divergent thinking. On entrepreneur leadership should have more of divergent thinking. What do you mean by divergent thinking? You can see here, an entrepreneur leader has a divergent thinking. That means he looks at his means and then he thinks that with whatever limited 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 means I have, what is the best? Let me look at various out of box options that I can generate. But he's not predicting the options here. He's only working on creating the options. So he is a divergent thinker. He is an effectual thinker who is imagining a possible new meaning, a possible new opportunity that he can generate through the limited resource that he has. On the contrary, there is another type of thinking which an entrepreneur should not focus on, and I'm sure I would just like to highlight, is the conversion thinking, where people keep the goal in mind. I have to achieve this. Now let me find out from where I can get the means so that I can start working and achieve this goal. Entrepreneur do not set a goal like this. No predetermined goal. They say, I have means, and let me, my staff, and people associated with me try to do some experiments, some hit and trials, some combination, and find out an opportunity that I can create. So it's an open-ended opportunity area that they keep, and they create various new opportunity out of the means that is existing with them. This effectuation definitely, and that's the last part of our presentation, is based on 5 principles. Maybe many of you have already gone through this, a bird in hand, which says, it's a famous saying, a bird in hand is better than two in the bush. That means whatever means you have, please start working with them rather than thinking, let me accumulate 2-3 more means and then start working. That's what the effectuation is. Whatever means you have, please start working with them. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean that you may utilize every mean that's available. Because the second principle of effectuation says that must do an analysis of affordable losses. So entrepreneur leader is famous for taking risk, but risk is taken after calculating that can I bear the loss that I will have after this risk. So if it's an affordable loss, okay, itna to I may face a failure, but I can manage with this. So they measure their affordable losses and then they move forward. They move forward with the help of Crazy Quilt. Crazy Quilt here talks about partnership. They do not sit and think, I will get a big partner and then I will start working. They may get small partners wherein they say, hey, I can contribute and invest this much amount as a partner. It's a very small amount, but I think I can help you. So these entrepreneurs